to him. You mentioned that conservatives, and I started noticing this a lot too. Why do you think it is that we have so many conservative voices that seem like if you're not paying attention, like they seem like they might be God-fearing people, but they're actually not? Why do you think there's so many that aren't?
I tweeted today, CINOs, Christians in name only, are exponentially worse and more damaging than rhinos, Republicans in name only, because there's a lot of people that feel like Christianity is kind of a trendy thing. You can throw on this Christianity t-shirt, you can throw on Christ for a second, toss it over here, you can use it as a political ploy, you can use it as something that you're running a campaign on. And I think it's hard to be discerning at times, but there's other times where it's like, man, if you're in a good church, if you're in the Word, you have good biblical accountability, and you're surrounded by believers, you're going to be discerning to know that if someone is talking about God, what God are they talking about? If they're talking about a higher power, what higher power are they talking about? And what are they bearing? Are they bearing good fruit? And a lot of people like to just kind of cross out the rest of the verses where it says, do not judge, and then they just stop there. So it's not like we're out here as heresy hunters or saying like, oh, you need to prove to me that you're bearing good fruit, because we're all fallen people. But I think a lot of times you can know who some of these politicians partner with. You can see some of these conservative influencers, who they're promoting, or even what they're promoting. Because there's times too where we're seeing a lot of divide where there's only a few Protestant Christians, and then there's Roman Catholics, and then you have like Jews like Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager. Dennis Prager, I know, has said some, fairly horrific things lately. I know he just had a podcast with Charlie Kirk. But I really do like Ben Shapiro when he sat down with John MacArthur, he sat down with Vodi Bakum, so I can appreciate at least there's discussions there and exactly where he's at. But people have to start being a little bit more discerning, especially too, and I just did a video about this. Candace Owens, like obviously Candace Owens and I have had our beef, and I didn't appreciate the way that she portrayed me with the Chosen stuff. I felt like that was incredibly unfair, and not just unfair, but it was just blatant lies about me. Is she can sit down with Andrew Tate and said, man, I'm bummed that you're not a Christian anymore. But I truly believe that if we're reading our Bible, we sit down with someone like Andrew Tate. Like if I had the opportunity, yeah, I would want to hold him to account. But I would not call him, oh man, I can't believe that you were almost like saved and not saved anymore. Like biblically speaking, that doesn't make sense. Like no one can grab us out of God's grip at all. So I think people are trying to make sense of even too. I'm doing a little series. I know this is a long-winded answer. Last thing I'll say is I'm doing a series on, it's called GOP and GOD. So about what these Republican presidential candidates think about Christ, what they think about the Bible, what they think about Christianity. And you start to see that Vivek Ramaswamy, he's a Hindu. And he says he's got some of these Judeo-Christian values. And he says some concerning things, like he doesn't believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. He believes he is just a son of God. You got Donald Trump that's connected with certified heretics like Paula White and Kenneth Copeland and major prosperity gospel people. I'm going to do a video on Ron DeSantis as well. Like, so people need to start realize who these people are connected with, what people are talking about when they mention Christianity or they mention God, not so we can have gotcha moments, but so we can be like, oh, actually, no, these people are actually leading you astray. And this won't get you to this righteous moral endpoint that you're really trying to get to with this policy or anything like that.